So I want to talk about joy. And I want to talk about joy because I feel like there's this like definitive like cloud that's always hovering over us. And I think a lot of it is embedded in us because of social media, of feeling this pull of making sure we're all having enough joy in our lives. So I kind of want to ask, we kind of already touched on different versions of fun, but for those of us that are looking to just have an overall sense of joy in our life, whether that's skateboarding or working, whatever that is, how would you tell somebody, um, or advise somebody if they were feeling a lack of joy in their life?
I'm happy to kick it off.
Go for it.
Um, One of the things with positive psychology is just this focus on optimism and what optimism is versus positivity. And I see joy as very similar. It's this overarching perspective that you have about life. It's not an in the moment thing. It's a philosophy. It's a belief system. It's something that goes much deeper than I'm happy or I'm positive. It's an overall sense of being, and that's where it comes down to how you organize your life and your philosophy of life and how you view the world. So many times when we get wrapped up in a moment, we're wrapped up in the moment, but not really. We're wrapped up in the future of that moment or the expectations for that moment, how we thought it would be, it should have been, the impact that this will have in the future. Take a small example: when my kids are being unruly and I'm disciplining them. And I think if I get this wrong, they're going to be terrible children. They're going to be drug dealers. I'm going to have to deal with addiction and they're going to be bullies in school. How I thought I would parent. I never thought I would yell at my kids. Why am I spanking him? Why did I grab his, all of these things, right, that impact how we feel about that moment versus living truly in the moment and having a sense of gratitude for all the pieces of that moment and expectations about that. So I talk to a lot of people about base level expectations. So sometimes when my kids get crazy and I get upset about that, or someone in my household gets upset about that, I have to say, remember, this is baseline. This is standard. This is the expectation for a 4-year-old child, right? Until we teach them and educate them and help them understand it. So we don't have to get upset about that. This is, but when I get super upset, it's because I think he should be behaving differently, or I think that this means something like, oh, who influenced him, or why is this actually you? And we're focused on all these other things besides the moment. But when we think about, like, one of the organizational examples, you start a new job and HR is never on top of it, right? You don't have a computer, you don't know what you're supposed to do, you don't have your expectations right. My manager was on vacation when I started. I could get really upset about that because, God, why didn't they have this right? It's going to impact how I perform. Or it's like, this is base level for starting a new job, right? I can just
Yeah.
be in the moment knowing that this is just standard for life. And I love that application. I use that a lot. This is base level. This is standard. Life is hard. Having kids is hard. Starting a business is hard. People are going to say no when you ask them a question you want them to say yes to. No need to get really upset about that. But how can I appreciate the fact that I'm here on this podcast with you? How can I appreciate the fact that I'm speaking to someone about my business? How can I appreciate the fact that I'm in this house and I have these children, unruly as they are, but how can I appreciate the opportunity to try again tomorrow? And living in that place of gratitude and respect and appreciation for what I have right now without the worry for the future or fears and expectations from the past, but truly be in this moment. If you were gone tomorrow morning, would this matter? Did you appreciate this moment and live in it fully? And I can preach this all day long, and I tell you, I don't live this way. Erica, this is why it's hard to talk to people that know you very well, because it's like, I saw you yesterday and you were pretty pissy. I'm working on it, right? We're all working on it, but that's how I recenter myself and say, how do I appreciate this moment and not get so fogged up with everything else around me? Because this moment is fleeting. It's going to be gone. and those worries that you had are going to be gone. Don't live in the future and don't watch from the past, but live in the moment.
Anything to add, Miss Erika?
I love everything that Dr. C says. I want to give a couple practical tips so you can kind of take those philosophies and really utilize it in your life, because we like to be tactical too, right? So we want to understand it up here, but we want to know how to apply it to our lives. Definitely understanding and knowing your vocations, right? Knowing what your intentions and your expectations are. What is the culture that you're trying to build in those, so that your focus really is on you, that you're utilizing a correct comparison model. Many times why we don't feel joy or any of those other things is because we're using comparison in the wrong way. Comparison can be a good thing. If you know what your life season profile is, you can look at somebody else or another situation that's similar. You can go, okay, what can I learn? What can I garner from their experience, because we're in a similar space? But if you're comparing to somebody who's way off here, like if I'm looking at my life and comparing it to a woman who has one child, who has 2 full-time streams of income coming in because they have established careers that, at 40 something, you would think, you're right? If I was doing that and then judging my entire life, how would I ever feel joy? Like, that's impossible. And positivity quotes and telling yourself to be positive or think happy thoughts ain't going to cut it. It's just not going to happen, right? You cannot quote and meme yourself into feeling these things. You have to have practical ways. So another way to judge something, how you're going to react, is this going to matter 5 seconds, 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 years? Now start judging. If it's not going to matter 5 seconds from now, I'm definitely not allowing it to change my energy. 5 minutes, not changing my energy. 5 hours, maybe, maybe my child doing something pretty severe might change my attitude and my level of joy for the next 5 hours. So I'm going to, choose what tone I'm using, right? It starts making us more aware of what's happening. Right. As we start really acknowledging, like Cheryl said, we acknowledging our real circumstances, looking at what's going on around us. Is this baseline? Like, was I really expecting the clouds, but I should have been expecting, like, we're just barely have dirt here, y'all. Like, where am I in this? And how much of this lack of joy did I bring on myself? Really, honestly. And then what am I not being grateful for? Because there is always something to be grateful for. Always.
I love that.
And I'd love to
Did you wake up breathing today? Be grateful.
I like to add 2 more things. Sorry, Erika, you cut out. I thought you were finished. One thing is the ABC model. So when something happens and then there's a consequence, there's something in between that is a belief. And so many times we assign meaning to things that happen and we let that rob us of joy. But when you stop and say, what am I most upset about? Is it the thing that happened? Is it the consequence, or is it what I think they meant by that? And that's where I get like looking into the future or the expectations from the past. What do I think they meant by that, and what's the meaning attributed to it? And that robs me of joy all the time. And then the other thing is, when you're focused on optimism versus the negativity side of that and living in a state of joy, is to break things down into smaller pieces. We get so generic and broad and we think, oh, this is all encompassing, and we start that downward spiral. But when we stop it and break it down and say, I'm not a terrible, horrific person. I snapped at my kid one time, and look at the reasons why. I'm overwhelmed, overburdened. I asked him 3 times, but I can be better at this, and I'll try again tomorrow. But that's one time. Let's not blow this out of proportion. And as women, we blow things out of proportion, and then we apply the generic bubble. Like, it just starts expanding. If I yelled at him now, then he's gonna hate me, and it's gonna be. I always say I'm gonna be the source of his therapy when he's 30, regardless. You're always going to point back as whatever you do. So really focus on getting better. And that's where better over perfect comes in. We get stuck in perfection all the time. But if we can focus on just, I can be better at that, it takes you out of that downward spiral and really helps you say, okay, let's get back into the moment. Don't let others steal your joy by applying unnecessary meaning to a comment, when they cut you off, all of these things that we're like, oh, they're a jerk, and this world would be better without them, and all of these things that we just kind of keep going, like, they're late for work, give them a break.
Yeah,
I've cut people
yeah.
off all the time. I hope I'm not a terrible person.
For
I haven't
sure.
been driving in a while, but
Well, listen, you guys have, I feel like we could just go on forever. There's just so much goodness here. But I want to ask, there's there's so much. There's so much here that you guys have going on that's so amazing. I kind of want to ask, if somebody's watching this right now, live right now, or on the replay, like, in general, what are you offering to us? Like, what could we go to you for, one, and then what could we do to help you?
Ooh. Well, you can come to us to create manageability and margin in your life so that you can exit overwhelm and enter your piece of purpose, no matter what that is in your life. That is our specialty. We can teach it to one-on-one. We can do it in a group format. We can do it to your organization or small business. We have adapted that presentation based on who the audience is. And so that's really what we're passionate about, is really helping you engage in your life in a better way. And the only way we really can engage is to be able to manage it and create that margin of time so that we can do it, right? And so that's definitely what we aspire to do as much as possible. I think I talk about it every single day to every person I talk to. It's just become part of every aspect of our life. Is just, well, okay, what's the problem that you're facing, and let us help you feel like it's not overwhelming you. From the simple thing of my baby's crying all the time and I don't know how to take a shower, to I don't know how to manage this in my business or create the time. It just is, it's interesting that it works for all the levels. I love that. But that is definitely what we've been working on. We just actually presented the Well-Rounded Foundation at Texas A&M last week.
Wow.
From graduate students down to freshmen, which was an extraordinary experience. I'm so honored and humbled at the same time. So that is the one thing. How can you help us? We have a few things, but I know I would talk about the book. We talked about it on your previous podcast. That's what I would bring up right now. We did write a book that we're passionate about. It's our cause, but not our business. But I know Cheryl has a different ask, so I'm gonna let her actually do what we would ask from, because we have to leave something for her to talk about.
Thank you. So I would ask that you join us in our community. So on Instagram at the.corner with an HER.office, also on Facebook, and then join the Better Over Perfect community, also better.over.perfect. We like the dots in there, makes it very clear. And then we also have a Facebook group, The Better Method, where we really dig in. We test out some of our material. We go a little bit deeper into those topics and conversations that we have. Don't forget the dots in between. That might be the way to pick it up. So that's where we're going to test a lot of material, but I would highly encourage you to also join our newsletter at thecorneroffice.com. That's where we are about to do some serious marketing. Ladies, we have the most amazing things coming, and I would like if Erika gives me a nod to give you some of the inside scoops as to what you're doing, since it's super secret. But we're about to do some market research to really work out our feasibility. But we have a corner office location in Ohio. We're about to start one in Bryan College Station. And then we have some amazing mobile resources that are going to transform the way we work, live, and play. So I don't know how much I can say or should say. We're patent pending in a few areas. So, I mean, it's that exciting and that real. But I'm also going to let you in on another little secret. When you think about work, live, and play, we are going to be creating communities where women can work, live, and play together, where childcare is provided. It is available in cheaper housing, so you can get off your feet, specifically designed for single women. And the corner office is going to be there. Just everything that you need to create margin in your life, while also getting back on your feet and balancing out this this privilege. We're trying to make a place where all women, regardless of who you are, how much money you have, you can come together and learn from each other and community with each other, and build your business. So super exciting. And we want you to be a part of it. And being a part of our communities allows you to answer some of those market questionnaires that we're going to be having as well.
Absolutely phenomenal. I love it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really exciting. We are so excited.
True transformation.
Yeah, I mean, even so, our first location here in Ohio, we're officially open to the public starting the beginning of November, where you can come and work and your child can be supervised and playing. So it's really kind of thinking through how can we do this life and do it together, because it wasn't built for that really. Right. I mean, how do we provide that adoption and flexibility so that we can? I mean, there was times in my life where I couldn't even go do a job interview because I couldn't find somebody to come and watch my 4 kids.
That's going to
That
change.
was my place of I could not go get a physical job because I could not get even the childcare to get to the interview, much less could I afford the childcare once I got that job, right? And then now how am I supposed to get, like, all of these things that we're faced with, like, now how do I get them picked up from school and all of this stuff? We have come up with actual solutions and viable solutions that work. And so we are so excited to be bringing it. Now we're officially national. I mean, we have 2 locations officially, so Ohio and Texas. And we want every woman and primary parent to be a part of this. And you can get on the ground floor. Like, now's the time.
Yes.
Amazing.
Well, that is absolutely fantastic. I have the website up here for anyone who's watching live or on the replay. It's www.thecornheroffice.com. And so much goodness. So much goodness. I appreciate everything that you guys stand for and everything that you guys are doing. Closing thoughts before we wrap up here.
Yeah, I would like to.
Well, if anybody's watching live, if anybody's watching live and they have questions, I would love to see if anybody has questions while Cheryl's doing her. If there's any questions, I'll handle questions.
Yeah, I would just like to encourage women to join our community and to remember that when we encourage each other, we lift up all women. And that's one of the issues that we've been having as a gender is we spend a lot of time stepping on each other and pushing each other out of the way so that we can connect with the majority group. And this is not uncommon across minority groups. And so through raising women, we're also raising minority groups across the board, those with disabilities, those of different races and ethnicities. And when we band together, we're so much stronger. And so that's what we are trying to do, is to try to quit this intergroup rivalry to where we don't need to attach ourselves to the majority group in order to receive some of those privileges. We are strong enough together that we can raise each other up. Because when we climb that ladder, we may be getting closer, but we're pushing others down. And that's making it harder for future generations, for our friends, for our sisters, for our coworkers. And so we're going to go up together. It might be a little bit slower on an individual level, but as a whole, we're making real progress. And that's what this is all about. And our communities, think about childcare in front of your hospital or your doctor's office so that you can go and get your health care properly. Grandmas that are raising their children, minority groups that don't have access to childcare, they're the ones that are really suffering in this new society, in this world that we're creating. Those that can't get to work because they don't have proper childcare. Now businesses are suffering because their primary workforce, working moms, are unable to get to work. So we're going to impact not only women as a whole, but the entire basis for our economy. And this is real and this is impactful and it's happening right now. Hope you want to be a part of it.
I love that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic. I certainly hope to have, both the company's projects that you guys are working on close, to our platform here at Her Version. You basically encompass everything that we stand for as far as helping women, educating women, and all the goodness that goes along with that. So I'm so happy to have you guys here along for the ride and speaking openly about some of these issues that we deal with as females right now in 2021. So anything you want to end with, Erika, before I close out?
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Of
We
course.
definitely love speaking to women on a lot of different topics, and want to be an asset to what you're doing for sure, Sabrina, because we love what you're doing.
Yes.
Charlotte, thanks for chiming in. She says, I love what you ladies are doing. She also said earlier, using comparison in a good way. I like that. Yeah, all of these things. Even negativity can be used in a good thing, right? There is no such thing as a good word or a bad word. They're just words, right? It's how we use them. It's how we apply it to our life. And so we're just going to take what, other people have used for success, apply it to our life, and build up together instead of separating each other apart, because that's where true success happens.
Exactly.
And you find that joy in what you determine is successful, not what somebody else determined is your definition of success. So it really just changes the language we use. It changes how we define our lives. It changes how we live our lives. And that's what we really want to do for other people, because it's happened for us. So thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. I believe in building community, so that's what we're doing here, and I love that you guys are here and helping and educating and all that goodness. And I hope to have you guys on again in the future, and to keep us updated on all the new awesome things that you guys are creating over there in your universe. So I am going to wrap up. Thank you for those of you that are still watching live. We appreciate your listening ear. If you know of anyone that this topic resonates with, please share. And you never know what people are dealing with in their little world. So something like this popping up on their feed could mean the world to them. So thank you so much for joining us here on Her Version. If you have an amazing story to share of struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I'm so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. Do something awesome today. Much love.